Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Digital Bug Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for October 2024. Digital Bugs were a type of insect deck that focused mostly on making different Xyz monsters in the Digital Bug lineup, then being able to rank up Xyz into the stronger ranked Digital Bug monsters using the many different Digital Bug monsters in the main deck that are based off of computer parts to be able to make the different monsters along with some other Xyz monsters as well. I wanted to update the deck since the last time I updated, which was around Blazing Vortex, which is definitely a while ago since now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Digital Bug lineup, we're running 3 copies of Digital Bug Web Soldier. It cannot be used as Xyz material except for the Xyz summon of an insect type monster. Once per turn, you can target one face-up attack position monster you control, change it to defense, and special summon one level 3 insect monster from your hand in defense. An Xyz monster that was summoned using this card on the field gains the effect of, if it's Xyz summon, the defense of all face-up monsters your opponent control becomes 0 and change them to defense. So just for you to be able to then swing into them with your different Digital Bug Xyz monsters as more of a defense play, especially with Rhinoceros being able to also have piercing battle damage. 3 copies of Digital Bug Sentiment. It cannot be used as Xyz material, which again you'll see with them having the restriction for Xyz summon except for insect monsters. Once per turn, when this face-up card is changed from attack position to defense, you can special summon one level 3 insect monster from your deck in defense. And Xyz summon using this card gains the effect of, if this card can attack all defense monsters your opponent control once each. So you can use Web Soldier to switch them to defense, and then having Sentiment as the Xyz material means that you can swing into each one of them as well. It's kind of like the OTK potential that you can set up with it. I would say the biggest weakness of the deck obviously is the use of link monsters, which won't be able to change to defense since they don't have defense position. And then also 3 copies of Digital Bug Cocoon Denser, having the same restrictions for the insect Xyz summon. You can target a level 3 insect in your graveyard, change this card to defense, special summon that card in defense, and also having the additional option when it's used as an Xyz material. If it attacks a defense monster, your opponent's card effects can't be activated till the end of damage step. So an added setup, just being able to switch this card to defense, summoning out your other Digital Bug, and then be able to use the 2 of them together. Your Cocoon Denser definitely does work better when you have other setup for your Digital Bug monsters, but we're also running 3 copies of Registrider. Now I use 3 of max for all the Digital Bugs just because we do have some draw power into the deck, because I would say hand consistency being an Xyz invested deck, you really just need more cards to be able to go into your Xyz summons with Registrider. Having this card, with this card you can special summon both this card from your hand, and also when you normal summon a level 3 monster, being able to do so, then make both this card and that monster level 5 or 7. If this card is special summoned from the hand, you can change the battle position of one insect monster you control, and an Xyz monster that was summoned using this card on the field gains the effect. It gains 1,000 attack and defense. So then just being able to make your Rhinoceros up to 3,600 attack, but also just summon out another monster, gets around the Xyz play for the rank up needs, and then can just make 2 on the field as a level 7 monster to be able to use. And then the last of our Digital Bugs being the 3 copies of Digital Bug Ladybug. Cannot be used as Xyz material except for one of an insect monster. Once per turn, when this face-up card is changed from attack position to defense, you can add one level 3 insect monster from your deck to your hand. An Xyz monster that was summoned using this card gains the effect. When it destroys a monster by battle, draw 1 card. So being able to swing into each one of your opponent's monsters and have a draw for each one just helps to also replenish your hand with more cards to use. With our other insect monster being 3 copies of Galaxy Worm. When it's normal summoned while you control no other monsters, you can special summon a level 3 or lower Galaxy effect monster from your deck, but as its effects negated. It's an insect light monster, so you can just summon out another Galaxy Worm and then overlay the 2 together. So just an easy Xyz play to go into. I know we have the 3 copies in the deck, but there's a chance that it could be banished off of the Pot of Desires as well. So as long as you have that one other target to be able to go into. And lastly, for the main deck monsters, 2 copies of Honest. If you want to run Ash Blossom, this could be a spot that you replace it with. You could also maybe potentially take out the 3rd Galaxy Worm for that spot for a 3rd copy of Ash Blossom if you didn't want to run the 2 Honest. For the spells, 3 copies of the field spell Bug Matrix. All insect monsters you control gain 300 attack and defense. You can target an insect Xyz monster you control, attach 1 insect type monster from your hand to that monster as Xyz material. Just being able to build up more and more Xyz material, because some of them you need, both materials to detach for them. So having just a way to put more materials on them for you to reuse is a big help for sure. 3 copies of Bug Signal. You target 1 insect type Xyz monster you control, special summon from your extra deck 1 insect type monster that has 2 ranks higher higher than or lower than that monster while you control by using it as Xyz material. The special summon is treated as an Xyz summon and attach those materials that were on the previous one to that new monster. So it's basically the rank up spell for the digital bugs as well. Being a quick play spell, you can have the attack on your digital bugs, then use this card to then just rank up into the next digital bug that can also attack. The 2 copies of Pot of Desires and the 1 copy of Prosperity. We run a good variety of insects to have for the banish cost for Prosperity to be able to use for the cost for banishing, and then Pot of Desires having 3 ofs for a good majority of our main insect monsters as well means we really shouldn't hit too much of the engine that we may have needed to go into. A lot of the digital bugs can just run off of themselves and not need any specific other ones. They just need to be able to go into their Xyz plays, with the rest of the spells being 1 triple tactics talent, 1 terraforming, and the 1 monster reborn, with the terraforming just being able to search out our field spell Bug Matrix. And then for the traps, 3 copies of Bug Emergency. You target 2 level 3 insect monsters in your graveyard, special summon them, but their effects are negated. You can banish this card and 1 Xyz monster from your graveyard. The levels of 3 insect type monsters you currently control become equal to the banished monster's rank until the end of this turn. And you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except for insect monsters. So just more of a setup, kind of like a gear for the digital bugs, being able to give you those resources and then having an additional level adjustment by banishing this trap in your graveyard, with the last of the traps being 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just once again more of a hand trap option to use against our opponent, and the 1 copy of Goes in Match and the 1 Rivalry. With our restrictions of what we're able to summon out, the majority of the time of what we're going to be summoning out are going to be light insect type monsters, so just being able to stop our opponent for summoning out cards from the extra deck or their own deck while still being able to fully use our own. And then for the extra deck, we run 3 copies of Digital Bug Scare Radiator. Needing 2 or more level 3 light insect type monsters once per turn during either player's turn. You can detach 2 Xyz material from this card, target 1 monster your opponent controls, change its battle position. If you do, it has its effects negated until the end of this turn. And once per turn, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can attach that destroyed monster to this card as Xyz material, just giving you more Xyz materials to use, whether it be with our field spell or its attached play, to then be able to detach the 2 to go into Digital Bug Core Badge. We also have our quick play spell to be able to do this, but you can also Xyz summon it by detaching 2 Xyz materials from a rank 3 or 4 insect type monster you control, and then also transfer the remaining monster materials onto this card, and being able to detach 1 Xyz material from this card to target a defense monster your opponent controls and shuffle into the deck. So Scare Radiator can switch that monster to defense, then you can just rank up into Core Badge and have that card be shuffled back. With our bigger Xyz monster being the Digital Bug Rhinoceros, you can also Xyz summon this card by detaching 2 Xyz materials from a rank 5 or 6 monster you control. Then that Xyz monster that has material attached to it will come onto this one. If it attacks a defense monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. And once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach 1 from this card to destroy all face-up monster your opponent control with the highest defense, all if tied. So more destruction power focused on the defense of that monster you go into, with the last of our Xyz monsters being 1 Livier, 1 Downer Magician, and 1 Zeus. Just more of a generic lineup. If you want to run number 20 Giga Brilliant, it's always a card that I considered to be able to use just for the attack boost for our other digital bug monsters, with the rest of our extra deck being 1 Hip Potion Engen, 1 IP Masquerena, the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and the 1 Borload. More of a generic Link lineup if you want to. It can also just be the banish cost for our Pot of Prosperity to use also. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, I would say Registrider really does help to set up a good majority of our plays in the deck. You also have the option of being able to just use your Web Soldier for its own target to switch to defense to then special summon a monster. But the 2 Xyz play is the big part of your setup for this card as well. So then you can have the option of your Registrider in your hand to target that other monster, summoning both onto the field. Now, the big play is the setup that comes down for our digital bug monsters, being able to overlay the 2 into our Scare Radiator. So then we could have the 2 detached play with this card to then go into our Core Badge, but you also want the setup for our Scare Radiator to be able to detach 2 from this card, target the monster, and change its battle position. So you want more of an Xyz option, so cards like our Quick Play spell could also just help to overlay into the Core Badge. We can use our field spell, Bug Matrix, to also target an insect type monster we control and attach 1 from our hand to that monster. So if we have another insect type monster, it could even be the additional Galaxy Worm, giving us the 2 additional material to use on the new Core Badge that we just summoned out as well. And then even being able to use the additional detach 2 to summon out our bigger Xyz monster onto the field, being our Digital Bug Rhinoceros, after detaching those 2 additional Xyz material on that other monster also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, this is a deck that's definitely overlooked compared to a lot of other insect type decks that we see out there, but still a very fun one to look into with just a pretty much generic playstyle to rely on. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.